Hi Aries, happy birthday and welcome to your April 2020 Astrology 33 reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. And for those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, you could just check out the description of the video for all the information you need there. As for what we have in front of us, we have a Celtic cross spread as always. We have a couple of oracle cards that we'll take a look at once we get through the main spread, and also a mudra card. So getting started with the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the moon. So seeing this card pop up doesn't surprise me too much. I'm actually recording this after that full moon in Virgo, but for me, I feel like for you guys, this is more about the fact that you guys have had a lot of energy going on in your 12th house of Pisces, and this card is often referred to as a Pisces energy as well. So it could just be one of those things where you might not feel like you can necessarily trust your intuition in some way, shape, or form. And there could just be a lot of things going on in your inner world as well that you might not be able to, you might not be sure quite what to make out of it yet. If that's the case, the good thing is, as we do move through April, Mercury's gonna finish its retrograde and shadow period, of course. So, I mean, it pretty much just wrapped up the retrograde at the time I'm recording this. The shadow period will last a couple more weeks. So by the time we're in April, it'll be done with all that. And then it'll be moving into your sign, I think around the second week. Well, no, actually closer to the third week, I believe, of April. So around the middle of the month, let's say. You'll have Mercury moving to your sign, and things should definitely improve for you guys at that point. But that's what I'm feeling was going on here. Like I said, a lot of things going on in your inner world, maybe not knowing what you can and can't trust. And again, like I said, with the retrograde that was going on, totally makes sense that would be the case. And there's some other shifts going on as well. You guys are having Mars entering into your sign right at the beginning of April, not your sign, excuse me, Aquarius in the beginning of April, out of the sign of Capricorn. And then also we have Saturn that's going to be newly in Aquarius at that time as well. So you guys might feel some shift moving out of your 10th house to your 11th house. Challenger obstacle position, we have the Emperor, which is actually the major arcana card for your sign, and we have the Fool. Sometimes this is pointed out as Aries energy. I don't really pick up on that personally, but what I see going on here is I feel the energy that I'm getting with this is, the term that comes to mind for me is holding pattern, especially in combination with the moon there. So what I mean by that is it could just be pointing to you guys might have, again, with that Aries energy at the forefront, but with the Fool energy underneath it, could just be saying that, you guys are weighing your options as far as taking a risk in some way, shape, or form. Maybe moving from one company to another, for example, given that we were talking about the 10th house stuff, right? Maybe even leaving one relationship behind for another as well. That could be another way that this is playing out for you guys. But that's what I'm seeing here, that maybe on the surface you're trying to present that, firm front, but at the same time, underneath it all, you're really trying to weigh your options as far as, okay, should I take this risk, right? Should I make that jump into something new? So that's what I'm seeing with these two energies coming up together. I would say that you could potentially read it, given that this is coming up in the Challenger obstacle position, as maybe there's a risk of you possibly making a foolish decision, but especially given that the moon is there. But I'm really getting the feeling that you guys are aware of that risk, and if anything, you're overly averse to taking that risk right now. So I feel like a lot of you are really just, that's why I'm saying I'm getting that vibe of a holding pattern, where you're not quite ready to make a move just yet. Alright, in the foundation position, we have the Two of Cups, which is actually Cancer energy. And of course, this usually represents new partnerships. It can be romantic. For some of you, this could even be potentially about moving, given that this is 4th house energy for you guys. The North Node is actually moving through these last degrees of Cancer. It's going to be moving into Gemini a little bit later in the year. And again, like I said, I'm recording this just after that full moon that we had in Virgo. So this could be pointing to possibly during that new moon that you guys have in your sign, because it's actually going to be square to the North Node in Cancer. So again, there could be a new offer that comes your way around that time, and maybe you're weighing your options as to whether you want to take that offer up or not. That's what I'm seeing there. And like I said, it can be love for some of you, can be business as well, possibly even offers to move somewhere new. Past situation, we see the Nine of Swords. So this is actually Gemini energy, which for you guys is your third house of communication, right? And seeing this come up in the past along with the moon, again, I'm feeling like this is really just pointing to all of the activity you guys had going on through your 12th house. Like I said, as we move into April, that's really going to alleviate for the most part. So if that was what you were feeling, that's not at all out of the norm, really. I mean, like I said, the 10th house transits you guys have had going on have been really tough. The good thing is, though, like we said, Saturn moving out of your 10th, if this is more regarding career, that's going to be a good break for you guys. It is going to briefly go back into your 10th house later on in the year, but at the same time, you should feel a bit of a lift there as far as that goes. And also seeing this here, this can point to, given that we also see the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck, this can just be pointing to some kind of an emotional disappointment that you guys have had in the past. And for example, let's just go with a generic example and say that maybe you might have broken up with someone recently, and maybe you're having some regrets around that. And again, like I said, it could be that old versus new thing where I see that energy of a new offer coming your way, and maybe that was what was going on. Maybe you have some confusion around, should you stay in the connection you're in versus should you move on to a new one. In the present position, we have the Seven of Pentacles. So for some of you, this could definitely be more related to finance than romance, because for you guys, Taurus energy, of course, is your second house of finance. And seeing this card pop up here, it's usually, to me, it's considering your investment up to a point. So if we think of Taurus, it's Venus energy, and I see this mixture as a little bit of Mercury energy coming in there as well, where you're really weighing your options and thinking about, okay, this is how much time I've invested, right? Or this is how much I've invested into something, and is what I'm getting back for that investment worthwhile anymore, right? So maybe this is something you've put in a lot of years in. For example, maybe you've been somewhere for 6 years and you're starting your 7th year, and you're really starting to wonder, okay, well, this is what I've gotten up to this point. Is it worth me to continue investing in this situation for even longer, or should I consider moving on to something else, right? So we could definitely see the body language of the person. They do seem a little bit disappointed. Good thing is you guys have Venus moving through your second house at the time recording this, and then it's actually going to shift into Gemini pretty early in April, actually, and then it's going to be there for around 4 months because it's going to eventually do a retrograde in there. So as far as communicating around finances, this could be a good time to actually consider doing so. So, maybe, again, if this is where you might feel like you're not being compensated properly, and maybe you want to either talk to your current employer about that, or again, put yourself out there to see whatever alternatives there could be, right? This could be a good time to discuss money. And the near future position, we have the Four of Swords, which is Libra energy, the Six of Cups, which is Scorpio energy, and the Page of Wands. So this doesn't point to a specific fire sign, but this could definitely be your energy, of course, since you are a fire sign. But here, to me, this is more of an energy of taking action. So there's a couple different ways I could see these energies playing out. Me seeing this Four of Swords here could just be pointing to the fact that you guys, or whatever mental pressure you guys might have been feeling, again, maybe a lot of stress you might have been going through. With this in the near future, this can point to it alleviating for some of you. If we think about the fact that this is the card that comes after the Three of Swords, right? This would represent healing, and even though this is a different energy, I could see the Five of Cups playing out similarly to the Three of Swords energy. So again, this could have been around that disappointment that you guys might have experienced. And then if you also factor in the fact that we see the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck and then the Six of Cups here, this can represent that for some of you, through going through that healing process, there can be consideration to extending an olive branch to someone, or someone might be extending that to you, which could help with the healing process. But another way this could be playing out too with that Page of Wands, for some of you, this can just be saying that you decide to take action on that and actually get the healing process off the ground. But for others of you, this can be, again, weighing two different options, right? Where you're trying to think to yourself, okay, do I want to repair this connection from the past, right? Or would I rather venture off into something new? So that could be what's going on there. Like I said, that really can play out for some of you in a romantic sense. For others of you, though, it really could just be pointing to, again, career, given that you guys have had so much going on in your 10th house. So I could see that going either way. And given that this is a general reading, for some of you, you might fit into one group, or possibly even for some of you could be both, where some of you might be considering starting something new in your career and in your romantic life. But that's what I'm seeing there with these cards. Card representing your energy toward the situation, we have the Temperance card. So this is a pretty good card to have here. It represents balance. And given that this is more major arcana energy too, I will say the good thing here is, again, I'm getting a feeling that you guys are going to be pretty measured in your thought process. I don't see you guys making rash decisions here. So that's the good thing, because, again, given that you've had all that retrograde stuff going on in your 12th house, this might not be the time to make a rash decision, but I'm really getting the feeling here that you guys are really putting in a lot of thought into this decision. And if anything, given for you guys that Temperance represents 9th house matters too, it can just be saying that you've integrated what you needed to learn, and you know. It's just a matter for you guys to trust yourself at this point. And for some of you, this could even just be looking at more of like a work-life balance thing too, because, again, you've had so much going on in your 10th house, and maybe this is pointing to you guys have just thrown so much energy into that area of your life, and maybe now with some of that pressure starting to alleviate, it could just be you guys getting accustomed again to, okay, well, now that I don't have to throw so much of my energy into that area of life, right? Now you're slowly starting to incorporate more things in your life. So, for example, maybe you're spending more time with your friends now, right? Maybe you're able to give more energy to your romantic relationships, or at least getting one off the ground, right? Where maybe before you just had so many other things going on that wasn't really feasible. So that's why I see there. And the reason I say that could be the case is we see the 1 foot in the water and the 1 foot on earth, right? So we think of that as like the earth representing the physical everyday, getting the money, right? The pentacles energy, and then the water being the emotions, love, romance, right? So now it's like, okay, now you're trying to incorporate both. In the environment position, we have the 10 of Wands. So to see this here, I'm almost getting that same vibe again, where, like I said, even though for you guys, this is, again, Sagittarius energy, which is 9th house, I feel like this is more pointing to that shift of Saturn moving out of your 10th and into your 11th, which is to say that, okay, this is all of the things that you've accumulated over that time, all of the work and all the effort you put in. And now with that 10 wands there, the card that comes after that is the card we saw in the near future for you guys, which is the Page of Wands. So this could just be saying that along with that transit, you might feel like you guys are reaching a culmination point where you're wrapping up something big that you might have been working on for a long time. Maybe it's just, the natural cycle might be running out. So for some of you, that could even be what it is, where you might have just had a natural run out of something going on in your career, and now it is on to the next thing. Now you're like, okay, well, maybe you feel like you've been wrapped up in this thing for so long, you're like, you don't even know where to start with the new thing, right? So, and that could be what the Emperor and the Fool energy is too, right? Where, okay, I've put in this work on this project for so long, I've mastered it, right, with the Emperor energy, and now that this is done, okay, well, now the next thing I'm going to feel like totally brand new, with the Fool energy. So that could be what it is for you guys too, that transition from something that's grown very familiar that you could do in your sleep to now starting something brand new. All right, in the hopes or fears position, we have the King of Pentacles. So I'm going to assume for most of you this is probably a hope, right? And to me, this points to you guys wanting stability. And that's what I was saying here. I'm picking up on, regardless of what area of life this tends to be taking place for you guys, I feel like there is that desire for stability above all else. So that could be partially why you're hesitant to move, right? Where even if you do feel like you might want something new, you're really weighing the pros and cons. You're like, okay, well, this is something that's stable, it's comfortable for me, right? But there can be at least some thought of, okay, well, is comfort the most important thing, right? Because if you feel like your growth is slowing or you just feel like the situation's stagnant, you might want to make some shifts there. So that's what I'm seeing with this energy. But aside from that, I mean, like I said, your Uranus is going to be in your second house of finances for a long time, so there can be some shifts there. Um, we did have Venus moving through there at the time of recording this. It's moving through there, and then, like I said, pretty early in the month, it's going to move out of uh, Taurus and into your third house communication. So again, like I said, that to me signifies it's a good time to discuss money matters. So whether it is negotiating a higher salary or maybe putting your resume out there to see if maybe there is somewhere where you could get a better pay, right? Or this doesn't just point to you having finances, but also being able to enjoy it too, right? So again, maybe you have had financial success, but the job that you've been in now, maybe you've just had to put so much work into it that you haven't actually been able to enjoy it. So maybe this is you just saying you're hoping to enjoy the actual money that you've accumulated through your job, right? Maybe that's what the temperance is pointing to there as well, which is saying getting that balance, that work-life balance on track. Good thing is it does, and like I said, between what I'm seeing in these cards here and also the transits at play, it looks like you might get that break soon. So if that's what you're worried about, and again, like I said, I don't really see you guys making a rash decision, so I'm not too worried about that. But if that's what you're worried about, just see how you feel, even by the middle of April, I would say. By the middle of April, really feel it out. See if that energy feels the same for you guys or if it feels like it's lifted some. If it feels like it's lifted some, keep in mind that, okay, that could be a vibe that continues for you. All right, and the outcome position, we have the Death card, so more Scorpio energy here. So, I mean, I could see this playing out a few ways too. For some of you, I feel like this is just you moving on from something. So, like we were saying, I was picking up on an old versus new situation. I feel like for some of you, this can point to you embracing that new situation. For others of you, like I said, this could just be a natural culmination of something where, like I said, it could have just been this huge work project that you guys have been working on for possibly years, even, right? Depending on what your job is. And maybe now you finally wrap that up. And there could be the relief of pressure with that. Because with that Ten of Wands in the environment, this could point to energy of other people, but I'm really feeling like this is your energy for whatever reason. And given that that represents your energy, that's, the culmination point there. And then, like I said, we do see the Page, which is the card that comes after the Ten of Wands, in the near future position. So for some of you, I feel like there is something that's naturally wrapping up for you guys. For some of you, it could be you physically making the decision to wrap something up, but um, long story short, I feel like this would be a positive change for you, for example. Like, I don't feel like this is going to be a job loss, for example. I feel like this would be either you consciously deciding to move on from something, maybe something has naturally run its course and you guys are well aware of that. And for others of you, like I said, it could just be a decision to start something new. All right, moving on to your oracle cards. First, we have Fork in the Road. There's the artwork. And the number is 13, so this could definitely be pointing to that deft energy there because that's also 13. So let's see what that says in the book. And seeing that fork in the road message makes me think of what I was saying too with the holding pattern energy, where there definitely does seem to be two different decisions that you guys have, or options rather. The essential meanings says time to make a decision, considering the consequences as you prepare to act, owning up to your obligation to make a necessary choice. The Oracle's message: every choice has a consequence. You've arrived at a fork in the road and are being asked to come to a decision. Will you further your dreams by choosing left or by choosing right? Will you take the road less traveled or the one well worn by others who have come before you? This is your choice and yours alone to make. Circumstances and other people will not make it for you. Be present and do not avoid this junction, for it is an important crossroads. Take heart, as no matter which path you choose, you will have a rich and meaningful experience. So definitely a pretty good message there, and like I said, if that's just the energy where you guys are in, where you feel like you can't trust yourself to make a decision, that's perfectly fine, especially if you watch this when I first posted, because we're still, in that Mercury shadow period. But like I said, I feel like for a lot of you, just looking at the astrology, by mid April, see how you feel around then. If by mid April you still feel unsure, then okay, maybe there's something to that, right? But if you feel like that energy starts to naturally lift for you guys and you feel like you can trust your decision making process a bit more at that point, then maybe that's a natural indicator that the timing is a lot better at that point. All right. The relationship message says you've reached a moment of truth in the evolution of your relationship. Which will you choose? To open up to the possibility of love or to remain isolated? To go deeper and commit to mutual passion or to walk away? This is a time to take responsibility for your truest desire and follow it. Be honest with yourself about what you're willing to do, invest, and give, then choose. You cannot make a wrong choice. If you move forward with a relationship, know that it will be based in truth and authenticity. You will have made a conscious decision rather than simply hanging on because you don't want to be alone, or ending things because you're afraid of the intensity of genuine connection. All roads lead to the lessons you must learn in your relationships. Regardless of the decision you make, it will place you on your path to a truer experience of the heart. So definitely a pretty positive, supportive message there too. And like I said, for some of you, I did feel there was a possible relationship vibe, and that seems to possibly point to that Six of Cups energy we're seeing as well. So hopefully that resonated with you. The prosperity message says you've come as far as you can on this part of your journey, and now you're faced with a choice. Inherent in this choice is the need for change, for evolution, and for a bettering of your circumstances. Narrow it down to just a single question. Who do I need to become and what do I need to believe in order to live a life of prosperity? Answer honestly and from the heart. Then the decision about which way to go will be effortless. Know that abundance is all around you. Choose to see it and it will be easier to settle on a direction, for the way will be made clear by your intuition, which knows how to steer you toward well-being. So definitely a pretty cool message there. And then I do like that it mentioned intuition because, like I said, if you might still feel like you're in the fog, revisit that around mid-month, see how you feel then. And if you still feel, well, by then you should be feeling better. I feel for the majority of you. Let's put it that way, as far as being able to trust your decision making. All right. And moving on to the next card, we have Turtle Spirit. It says slow and steady wins the race. There's the artwork and the number is 62. So let's see what that has to say. Okay, it says Turtle Spirit arrives to remind you that when you do what you need to do, putting one foot in front of the other and trusting that you will see your intentions manifest in perfect timing, your prosperity and love will grow exponentially. Now is not the time to rush around trying to force matters. Move slowly, perhaps even so slowly that it almost feels as if you are not moving at all. This may be a time to crawl before walking, taking your time to align to Turtle Spirit's place as you contemplate this road you're on, doing what you need to do in a small moment that will soon pass. Turtle Spirit reminds you that sometimes the best action is to slow right down, so if it feels as if you're not doing enough, know that simply being aware of what is happening right now may be an important step toward determining whether you need to pivot or simply keep putting one foot in front of the other. True love and true success come with patience, says Turtle Spirit. Focus on the now, and the next step will be clear. So definitely an interesting message there. And I really feel like that message is going to be one that probably fits your situation best from when I first post this, which is pretty much, the middle of March. And maybe for some of you, that energy might already start to shift very early in April, just because Mercury will finally be out of shadow by then. But like I said, for the rest of you, if not by then, mid-April should be a pretty good time for you guys where you might feel an energy shift. All right. And the last thing we have is a mudra card, and the mudra you guys got for this month is the Garuda mudra. There it is there. Keyword for it is maturity. And there's the information on it. Okay, so if you want to pause it or take a screenshot, you can, but under benefits, it says improves intelligence, increases digestive fire, activates Manipura chakra, builds martial prowess, and according to legend, serves as protection against snakes, snake bites, and venom in general. So, interesting one there, but if you feel like this sounds like something that would be beneficial for you guys, I will put the name of the mudra in the description, as always. We'll wrap up there, guys. Once again, happy birthday, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.